Greetings. I'm Detective Sergeant First Class Harry Gavel, Camden County Prosecutor's Office, Homicide Division, retired. Listener discretion is advised due to the graphic nature of the content of this podcast. These podcasts are real, these podcasts are true, and they come to you from the actual homicide detective that handled the cases. The following episode recounts the details of a real homicide investigation. All information presented is taken from public court records, law enforcement files, and direct investigative experience and memory. The names of the victims and individuals involved are used and sometimes changed with the utmost respect, and no part of this story is intended to exploit or sensationalize their sufferings. As a retired homicide investigator, I believe these stories matter to honor the victims, to understand the truth, and to bring closure to the families left behind. All of the content in this particular podcast is disturbing. Strong discretion is advised to any and all listeners. And as an added reminder, this is not for anyone under the age of 18. The story I'm about to tell you is an especially sad and heartbreaking tale. It's a tale of high expectations, high hopes, and the gleeful planning of a much anticipated wedding day. A day most young girls dream of long before it ever becomes a reality. A day they've imagined in their heads for years. So with that in mind, I want to warn young women and grooms alike who are planning their weddings or who might be looking forward to their own day of exchanging nuptials. It is, of course, one of the happiest days of life. A lot of times, it's the beginning of a brand new future. The expectations of becoming a wife, a mother, a husband, a father. All the dreams of finding your knight in shining armor or your princess. The planning, the family gatherings, the introduction to new relatives, and the loving relationships expected to develop over the years to come. With all that in mind, I want to warn anyone sensitive, especially those nearing their own wedding day, to refrain from listening to this story. It's a heartbreaker. It's a very sad story. It's a very true story told to you by the actual homicide detective that walked into this ugly scene. The kind of case that any homicide detective will tell you places a special burden on their shoulders. From the moment the tragedy unfolds to the moment they must deliver the devastating news to the families whose lives will be affected for years and years to come. So I hope you paid attention to the listener discretion disclaimer preceding this tragic reality. This story is a vivid, detailed account of the terrible pitfalls of human behavior and the grief and suffering that follow. After my some almost 50 years in policing, I am convinced that laws only guide the law-abiding. It is still disturbing to see what people are capable of inflicting on one another. I hope you will heed my warnings before you tune into this extremely disturbing double murder suicide case I unfortunately had to investigate. I certainly could have done without this case, but in one way, I'm glad I did, because I can keep the victims' memories alive by retelling the story more than 30 years after it tragically unfolded. With all due respect and a humble heart, I present to you blood on my wedding gown. Winter brought the snow. It had been snowing for the past couple of days and nights. Hopes and dreams of spring were on people's minds. This was in the area of Haddon Heights and Audubon, New Jersey. Small, quiet, peaceful town, nestled in South Jersey, far enough away from the crime-riddled streets of Camden City, New Jersey, often dubbed the murder capital of the nation. This was a beautiful Saturday morning, late winter, with spring just around the corner. Cinderella was closer than ever to fulfilling her dream of becoming a June bride. Inside 1214 Mercy Street, a highly anticipated wedding was being planned, but this day would put new meaning into the phrase, "Till death do us part." Cindy was at home with her younger brother, Carlrella, and her maid of honor-to-be, Carol Grace, her best friend. Their long history of friendship had grown even stronger after Cindy's breakup with her ex-boyfriend, Bruce Belcher. Carol was her confidant.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Carol was her confidant. Things had soured between Cindy and Bruce. Cindy wanted to move on, and she did. Obviously, he did not. He wanted her back. His love for her was toxic. He wanted revenge. Cindy didn't know it, but once Bruce realized she was not coming back, he quickly turned to stalking her. Was it meant to scare her? If so, it worked. Cindy was terrified of him, but it didn't work to his benefit. She did not go back. Instead, it drove her to get a restraining order against him. She knew Bruce was stubborn, and she knew he was very pissed off that she had left him. But she healed. She moved on, and she met someone else. Bruce couldn't accept that. If he couldn't have her, no one could. How many times have we all heard that line before? In this case, Bruce crossed the line, separating the law-abiding from the lawless. When he learned she was planning a marriage to her new fiancé, his obsession grew into a blind desire to derail her plans. No one knew that. Bruce made a plan of his own, a diabolical one. When Cindy shared her fears of being stalked and watched, and when time passed without ending his obsession, she obtained a court-ordered restraining order. It prohibited Bruce from stalking, harassing, or coming within 300 feet of her. Or at least she thought it would. Police warned him that violations would result in arrest and domestic violence charges. He was quiet, unresponsive, cold, and calculative, as we all later learned. Restraining orders are an effective tool in domestic disputes for law-abiding citizens. The problem is that not everyone is law-abiding. For some people, a restraining order means nothing, or it fuels their rage. In this case, the restraining order had an effect. It stopped him. It stopped him cold, but not before he would exact revenge. He would stop the wedding plans, and he would escape punishment. He had no desire to be held accountable. No one could tell him anything. He had made up his mind. It was going to be done his way. This case is not the norm. Generally, restraining orders help. I'm simply reporting what happened in this case, where the restraining order had deadly consequences. I often ask, revenge? Revenge for what? Because someone broke up with you? That gives you the right to commit murder? Double murder? This is where the disconnect lies. The leap from decency and respect to misbehavior and wickedness. One of the unanswered questions homicide was left to ponder was, did this tragedy happen because of the restraining order, or in spite of it? We would never know. The killer didn't live to answer that question, nor did he reveal that answer to anyone. Bruce continued to stalk. He continued to watch and rehearse his plan. He was careful, not because he feared arrest, but because he didn't want police disrupting his mission. Cindy, meanwhile, was fully and joyfully involved in planning her June wedding. Every detail was becoming the wedding she's always dreamed of. Carol and Cindy enjoyed every minute of talking about their plans. On this sunny Saturday morning in March, after that heavy snowfall the night before, several inches of glistening snow covered the ground, slowly melting now in the bright sun. Snowplows cleared the streets. Neighbors shoveled. Aside from the 2 feet of visible snow, it was a peaceful, almost spring day. Only one person knew a triple tragedy was about to explode like a dynamite stick in the stillness. Cindy had invited Carol over to look through wedding planner books. They sat at the kitchen table, reviewing gowns, bridesmaid dresses, and assorted accessories. It was fun, exciting, a distraction from her troubles. The thoughts of Bruce weren't far away, but for now, they were pushed aside. Her future made her feel happy and safe. She had high hopes of becoming a bride, a wife, and soon a mother. Meanwhile, of course, that morning, I was at home enjoying my second cup of coffee, planning to gather the kids up, their sleds, head out to the country landfill, a favorite sledding hill in Upper Pittsgrove Township. Afterward, I planned to take them to an old abandoned apple orchard farm owned by a local old-timer I knew. The kids loved exploring the old farm equipment and such. Later, we'd warm up around my 11-ton white marble fireplace at the blazing fire with hot chocolate and marshmallows. I loved sharing old-fashioned activities with the kids. But there was a caveat. I was on call. First out. If a homicide or sudden death occurred anywhere in the 36 municipalities under our jurisdiction, Central Communications would summon me immediately. That meant I always needed a plan B for the kids. One of my older daughters or my wife would bring a second vehicle. Not a strange requirement. Any law enforcement officer knows the drill. The approach. Unknown to me, in that quiet suburb, Bruce Belcher, a big-boned 6'3" white male, dressed in heavy Carhartt overalls, a matching work jacket, ski mask which covered his entire head, gloves, and heavy boots, was trudging through 2 feet of snow toward Cindy's home, carrying a loaded 9mm semi-automatic handgun. He had parked several doors up. Inside, Cindy and Carol were laughing at the kitchen table. Outside, Bruce was seconds away. He knocked. Carl, her brother, opened the door, assuming it was someone offering to shovel snow. Instead, Bruce forced his way inside, knocking Carl aside. He marched in complete deliberation through the small dining room and stepped into the kitchen. Both young women looked up, startled, shocked, terrified, disbelieving. Cindy recognized him instantly, I'm sure. Without a word, Bruce raised the gun and fired at nearly point-blank range, striking first Cindy, which killed her immediately, then Carol, the same fate. Their heads fell forward onto the blood.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Same fate. Their heads fell forward onto the blood-spattered wedding planner, which were spread out on the kitchen table. In a split second, Bruce turned the gun on himself and fired a fatal shot to the head. His body collapsed between the dining room and the kitchen. Silence. A faint gray cloud of gun smoke drifted upward. The smell of burnt powder hung in the air. Carl stood frozen, unable to process what he'd just seen. When he regained enough awareness, he dialed 911. Police and medical response. Local police were dispatched. Police radio normal patrol duty chat was starkly interrupted by the calm, deliberate female dispatcher's verbal directive. 1071, shooting with injuries, 1214 Mercy Street, ambulance requested. Officers arrived with caution. They sped to the location exited their vehicles and approached the address with guns drawn. They were met at the door, then moved inside. A loaded 9mm was secured. The ski masked man lies supine on the floor. 2 young women slumped over dead at the kitchen table. No signs of life. Paramedics established telemetric contact with Cooper Hospital trauma doctors. All 3 victims were pronounced dead by telemetry. The call comes in. My pager vibrated and lit up on my desk. The number was familiar. Central Communications. I took a deep breath, finished my sip of coffee, and prepared myself. Here we go. I called in and was informed homicide was requested at 1214 Mercy Street, Haddon Heights, New Jersey. There had been a shooting. Police and ambulance were on the scene. I strapped on my .40 caliber Glock in its shoulder holster, grabbed my overcoat and hat, and drove directly to the address. Parking was nearly impossible. Police cars and ambulance and snowbanks everywhere. Neighbors gathered outside the crime scene tape, all whispering, wondering what had happened. At the door, a uniformed officer briefed me. 3 down, 2 females, 1 male unknown, all pronounced. Gunshot wounds, loaded 9mm secured, found on the floor by the male. 1 witness unharmed, ID'd as the brother of the bride-to-be, one of the victims. Carl Rella, white male, age 25. Female victim number 1, identified as Cindy Rella, white female, 26. Reportedly the estranged ex-girlfriend of Bruce Belcher, according to the live witness. The male on the floor was believed to be Bruce Belcher. He was tentatively ID'd by the living witness, Carl Rella, who was on the scene. Victim number 2 had been tentatively identified by the same witness as the best friend and the intended maid of honor-to-be of his sister, Cindy Rella. Her name was Carol Grace, white female, age 26. None of the bodies had been disturbed other than being attended to by the paramedics in search for their vitals of signs of life. The residence was now locked down. Crime scene unit arrived. They measured, videotaped, photographed, collected evidence, conducted gun residue test, also known as a paraffin test, on the male subject. All of the victims' hands were bagged and their bodies were prepared for transportation to the medical examiner's office by the coroner, who was also by now on the scene. All of the victims would be scheduled to undergo a mandatory forensic autopsy examination, which was law in the state of New Jersey in any case of murder or suspicious death. A local detective might normally be assigned for follow-up to assist me in the continuing investigation into the matter. However, this case would require very little follow-up, so an additional detective was not needed. The killer was dead at the scene. Case closed. Notifications were made to the families, a task that is never routine, never easy, and always painful. These were especially heartbreaking due to the disturbing nature of what had happened. As long as we are still human and police are not robots patrolling and protecting the safety of our citizenry, just the facts. As long as we are still human, it will always hurt. The end. Thanks for joining in to another case from the murder capital. This is Detective Gavel signing off. See you next time.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.